Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely flipping the digital content world on its head, YouTube automation. Now, if you've been paying any attention at all to the creator economy, you've definitely heard this buzzword thrown around. It's this massive, almost too good to be true promise that you can build a whole channel and grow an audience super fast using artificial intelligence. But there's a huge gap between what people think automation is and what actually makes it tick. So today, we're going to demystify exactly how to whip up scripts using really accessible AI tools. But more importantly, we're going to uncover the hidden secret to actually making them work. Okay, let's jump right in.
You know, for the longest time, the barrier to entry for global content creation felt like this massive, impossible linguistic wall. Like, if you don't know English, can AI still build your channel? I mean, if the mere thought of sitting down and typing out a 10-page script fills you with absolute dread, you probably felt completely locked out of the game, right? Content creation carries a real intimidation factor. Staring at a blank, blinking cursor is terrifying enough without feeling like you don't even have the right words to begin with. But, as we'll see in our source material today, this specific barrier, it's basically obsolete now. Let's look at how.
Section 1, the automation shortcut, accessible tools for creators.
So, our source brings up a really fascinating reality about the market right now. If you look around, there are dozens, maybe hundreds of specialized YouTube automation tools being sold, and frankly, a lot of them cost a fortune. They totally gatekeep the process. But, and this is highlighted by creators innovating in places like Pakistan, you really don't need those expensive niche tools. You can find incredibly effective alternatives at a fraction of the cost. A perfect example, the paid version of ChatGPT. This process is absolute freedom. You literally do not need to type a single word. Our source stresses this beautifully. If you're sitting there thinking, well, I can't write, or I don't know English well enough to draft a good script, that is just not a valid excuse anymore. Inside the premium version of ChatGPT, there's a simple audio button. And let me tell you, that little button is the ultimate equalizer. You press it, and the AI just listens. It completely wipes out the friction between the ideas bouncing around in your head and the text you actually need to produce.
And what makes this technology so incredibly accessible is that it isn't just listening for, perfect dictionary standard English. The audio feature is ridiculously sophisticated at picking up local dialects and regional languages. In fact, our source explicitly notes you can speak directly to it in Urdu, Punjabi, and Pashto. Basically, you can use your native tongue, the language you're actually most comfortable expressing your raw ideas in, and just tell the AI, hey, I want to make a video on this topic. Write me a script for it. It bridges that gap instantly, translating your spoken thoughts straight into a structured, workable format.
Moving on to Section 2, crafting the AI prompt, guiding the machine.
Okay, so we've established the AI can hear you and understand you. But here's where we absolutely need a mindset shift. The AI is your scribe, sure, but you are the director. Let's walk through the practical steps to actually guide it. Step 1, obviously, you click that audio button. Step 2, you just speak your topic naturally. But steps 3 and 4, that is where the magic really happens. You don't just say, give me a script. You've got to get into the weeds a bit. You explicitly tell the AI, I need this script to be exactly this many words. Why? Because your word count dictates your video's length. Then, step 4, you ask it to generate an outline and break things down into different segments. By giving it these specific boundaries and structural rules through your voice commands, you essentially force the AI to hand you back a highly targeted, organized script instead of just a massive generic wall of text. You are completely commanding the structure here.
Which brings us to Section 3, the catch, mastering storytelling first.
All right, let's all take a quick breath. We really need to do a sharp pivot right here. Up until now, this probably sounds a bit like magic, right? Push a button, speak your native language, get a formatted script, boom. But here is the absolutely crucial point. Technology is merely a facilitator. It's a vehicle, and a vehicle is totally useless if you don't know how to drive. Before we go any further, we have to talk about a massive warning sign from our source material. Quote, if you lack the sense of a good script, whatever the AI generates will seem best to you, but not to the audience, unquote. Guys, this is the ultimate trap of AI automation. Because the AI spits out text so incredibly quickly and confidently, it triggers this little bias in our brains. We look at it and go, wow, this looks so official, it must be amazing. But if you don't have your own human judgment, if you haven't actually studied what makes a story hook a listener, you're going to end up blindly accepting mediocre content.
And this builds into a very real, very tangible conflict between two different perspectives. On one side, the creator is absolutely thrilled. They just bypassed the language barrier, they didn't have to type a thing, and they got a full script in, 10 seconds? They are hyped up by the speed and the automation of it all. But the audience does not care how fast you made the video. The audience does not care that you used AI. The audience really only cares about one thing. Is this interesting? They need a compelling narrative. They need emotional resonance. They need a reason to actually keep watching. Just because you generated a script quickly definitely does not mean you generated a good script.
And that leads perfectly into Section 4, winning the algorithm, why audience retention is king.
So we have to connect this human element of storytelling directly to the platform's algorithms. Because let me tell you, if the audience isn't happy with your AI-generated script, the algorithm's going to find out about it immediately. There's a very clear cause and effect chain here. Let's break it down. At 0 seconds, the viewer clicks. They saw the thumbnail, they were interested in your topic. But what happens next is entirely dependent on the quality of that script you directed the AI to write. If it lacks a human touch, if it's just plain boring, they're clicking away in 10 seconds. But if you used your own storytelling sense to refine and shape that script, they stay. Fast forward to 5 minutes, and the viewer is still watching to the very end. That behavior right there, watching a video to completion, is called audience retention. And when the platform sees high retention, it acts. Within 24 hours, the algorithm basically says, hey, people love this, and it actively promotes your content to thousands of others out there. A good script equals long watch time. Long watch time equals promotion. It really is that simple.
So as we synthesize all of this, the primary takeaway today is actually incredibly empowering. Automation is an absolute miracle worker for getting you past the starting line. It shatters the language gap, it completely removes the barrier of typing and formatting, it does the heavy lifting, for sure. But the AI is not the creator. You are. Human judgment is the final, completely irreplaceable ingredient. Your ability to read the output, sense the pacing, inject curiosity, and truly judge the overall quality, that is exactly what will ultimately decide the success or failure of your channel.
The old barriers are gone. The technology is sitting right there in your pocket, totally ready to take your voice and turn it into the foundation of a real empire, regardless of the language you happen to speak. Your AI is completely ready to write. But the real question you have to ask yourself today is, are you ready to tell a story? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep directing, and I'll